Now here's the question. Do you push the pawn here? Hmm? Yes, you. Hello guys. Today I'll talk about how to win a king and pawn endgame. Okay? So in order to win, we need to know what an opposition is. So basically, opposition just means that both kings are facing each other, let's say, right? This is opposition because they're facing each other with one square in between them. Okay? This is called an opposition because there's one square in between them and they're opposite side from each other. Same applies here. Okay? Okay. So, um, if you noticed when I move, right, the elo bar drops and it increases sometimes. So that's because it depends what. Okay, so when two kings are in opposition, uh, whichever whichever the king moves first, or which whose turn to move first, decides whether if it's a draw or a winning position, right? Okay, so now it's white to move. If I set black to move, oh wait, where did the king go? Anyways, so if the white, if it's white's turn to move, then you can see that it's a draw. If it's black turn to move, then you can see that white is winning. So how how can this be, right? Okay, let's find out. If black to move, um, black has to black has to move first, right? And then you just create this opposition. You see, opposite from each other. Very simple, right? So say for example, he goes here, right? Opposition. This is basically GG. You you create this red carpet for your pawn to go, right? Okay. So say for example, he goes here, ah, right, da 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 da, right? If he goes, you can still push, right? And then if he tries to do this opposition, you just like keep up with him. Eventually, your pawn will queen. Yeah, understandable, right? Okay. So let's see what happens if the white moves first. Okay. Oh, the elo bar drops. That is because if it's white turn to move, then see black has the initiative to start the opposition. See? Okay. So say for example, if white tries to push, uh, you just go back, and then this is basically just a draw, and eventually this is stalemate. Understandable? Yeah? Okay. Let's see what happens if the pawn's on the side of the board. Hmm. Okay. So if you look at the elo bar, no matter if it's white's turn to move or the black's turn to move, it is still a draw. Why? Okay. Yeah, because there is basically no opposition here. If black just decides to stick to the side of the board, you can't you can't get rid of the black king. Say, right, just blah 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 blah. Okay, eventually, no matter what you do, you cannot get rid of the black. You cannot get rid of black's king from a8 square. Yeah? Okay? Doesn't matter whose turn to move. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples here. Um, right? It is white turn to move. Now what should you do here? Hmm? Do you think you should push the pawn or move the king? Right? Remember the opposition. Um, okay. So what happens if you move the king, right? Look at the elo bar. It is still good because you didn't push your pawn, right? That's just okay. Now here's the question. Do you push the pawn here? Hmm? Yes, you no you don't. Okay? See, because if you push the pawn here, this is a draw. Yeah. Now let's redo. Right? If you go here, push the pawn, you don't push the pawn here. Okay, instead you create this opposition. Yeah. And now you can just queen, right? GG. And then you move on to the next one. Okay. White turn to move. Okay. You see, it's your turn to move. Now you should go here. Okay. Now what should you do next? Hmm? Whoa. Okay. You create opposition. Yes. And now since his queen is out of the range, you just push. Yay. And it's GG. Okay, what happens here? You bring your king forward, right? Okay. You start the opposition here. And then whenever they move on to the other side, you can move here or you can move here. It doesn't matter. Okay. Right. You just create opposition here and it's basically here, push, here, opposition, right? Right. Okay. Opposition. And this is GG. Now let's move on to the next exercise. Okay. Still, you bring your king forward before you push your pawn because it's tricky to push your pawn. Um, Opposition is very important. Don't push your pawn. Okay. Here.